Today is January 16th, 2022. I'm in the Sequoia National Forest of California, about a quarter mile from Remington Hot Springs. And I've been camping near here between Remington and Miracle Hot Springs since Christmas Eve. Little backstory, I guess. I got some good news. I got my paragliding 3 certification in November and December down in San Diego, and had a magnificent time with all the wonderful people down there at Torrey Pines Glider Port in La Jolla. And I had an incredible day. I flew 12 times that day and did 5 asymmetrical wing collapses and about 10 spot landings within 10 feet of the same spot on that day. And that was enough to fulfill all the requirements for the rating. And then a couple days later, I left and went up to LA, had 3 days of doctor's appointments, found out that I had a little neurological thing happening from the radiation that I'd been through. And then I headed up to Big Sur for the solstice, and there's photographs of me and the node on the solstice in Big Sur, Jade node. And I was lucky enough to spend a couple of days with my friend Mary Margaret Martinez, up there, and she posted some photographs and took some wonderful photographs of that experience. And then she went back to LA, and I went up to Monterey and spent the day in the node there. And the nodes are expanding. The ley lines are expanding. I was trying to show her the edge of the one of these, a solar line, and the edge kept moving. In the time that we were standing there, the edge kept expanding, It was pretty amazing. Anyway, today is trim day, so that's why I look a little scruffy. Yeah, that's it. It's projected that the ley lines are going to be expanding to the point where the nodes will remain open and um, 24 hours a day by the solstice of 2024. And I gotta say, from my own personal measurements, that's a pretty good projection. Um, I've since 2019, when I first went up to Big Sur um, and doused for the first time the node on top of Jade Mountain. Um, at that time, that was the solstice of 2019. The Emperor Dragon lines, the ones that are caused by the galactic cores in our galactic neighborhood, the cosmic radiation that comes from them hits the upper atmosphere, creates neutrinos that go through the center of the Earth, and every once in a while they hit the center of the Earth and they create this sound wave that radiates to the surface, and we experienced that up until 2019 um, as a 50 pace wide line. Um, I've been measuring at each of the solstices and equinoxes that I've been able to make it up there for ever since December of 2019. And so about every 3 months. And I've seen the width of the Emperor Dragon lines go from 50 paces wide to 80 paces wide to 100 paces wide to 200 paces wide to 400 paces wide to September, they were 600 paces wide. And this time, like I said, we were trying to measure it and it just kept moving. In like 3 minutes of us following the edge of this solar line, it moved about 10 yards. So it's something's happening, people. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So one of the things I was shown by the universe is that at every node, wherever any two ley lines cross one another and they create a node, an energetic node. What you have is an energetic structure, sacred geometric structure that is formed in that place, and they're all unique depending on what are the ley lines that come into that specific node, that form that specific node. But um, what happens at a node where there's an emperor dragon going through it is there's like, imagine two spheres sitting one on top of the other like this, right? And where they touch is where the surface of the earth is. So there's one under the earth, under the surface of the ground, and there's one just above, up in the sky. And those two spheres have within them a specific sacred geometric form, three-dimensional sacred geometric form. But they all have spheres, right? And as the ley lines themselves expand, the spheres get bigger. And at this point, that little node that if you go on YouTube, you'll see there's a picture of me laying in the middle of the node. It says davidamerica.art underneath it. My friend Margaret took this photograph on this past solstice. And when I first was there, 2 years ago? 3 years ago? That node was 50 paces across. Now it's the whole friggin' top of the mountain. It's the whole mountain. The whole mountain is in the node. And it's only going to become more so between now and the solstice of the winter solstice of 2024, the December solstice of 2024. So there's that. That's one of the main things that's going on the planet. And as that goes on, all the ley lines on the planet are expanding. All of them. Yeah. Here we go. What does this mean? Anybody's guess. But I'd say it's a good thing. So, the day after the solstice, I drove up to the Monterey node, and I spent the day in the node meditating. One of the best uses of this information is to um, find where there's a line or where there's a node and go into trance states, which you can do through meditation, or the best thing to do is to daydream. When you're daydreaming, your brainwave, the dominant brainwave pattern is the theta state. Go up to a meditative state. And when you're daydreaming, you have direct access into the lower astral, the Akashic record, all of your memories, everything that you need to know. It's a perfect place and state of mind to ask questions of the creation. Daydreaming, way underrated. Highly recommend it. It's where all your best ideas come from. It's from daydreaming, right? So I like to say that I'm a professional daydreamer. You know, I get over the years I've made my living from all the stuff that I dream up while I'm daydreaming. You know, painting ideas, book ideas, and so forth. Yeah, yes. So the story continues. So the next day, Christmas Eve, 2021, I was in Monterey and I drove to my favorite place to fly on the Monterey Bay, Lake Court launch site. Hiked up the top of the dune, popped open my wing, saw there was a problem, went to disable the wing, and before I could do that, I was dragged off my feet and dragged off the top of this hill and slammed to the earth 30 feet below and snapped my neck and blew out my knee. And I wasn't sure what I'd hurt at the time, but the hike back to the van with my glider hobbling, I kind of figured everything out and I knew what I needed to do as soon as I got to the van, I started driving the 4 hours to the hot springs to get in it. And that's where I've been ever since. And I don't soak on the weekends, but I've been soaking at least 5 days a week for 4 to 8 hours a day. And it's really helped the neck. I won't say I haven't had any setbacks, because I have. I'm able to approximate walking, which is a good thing. Very conscious walking, and I've been able to do it without um, a knee brace, which is good. I tried that for the first week until I could get to a point where my knee wouldn't give out for a couple of days in a row, and then I stopped using it, and I've been not using it for the past week and a half or so. But yesterday I had a little setback. The knee gave out about 40 yards away from the van. I had to turn around and come back. But I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that he will fly again, that fellow. And but before I can fly, I'm going to need to walk, and I'm going to need to run, and need to be able to run. Not sure how long that's going to take, but that's what I'm up to. That's my main focus right now. I've got most of my bills covered through the cancer disability check. Comes once a month. It just covers the bills. Luckily, I don't have to pay rent anywhere other than my storage. Because I don't know how people, if I didn't have this van to live in, where are you going to find a place to live for, under $1,000 a month and be able to pay your bills and eat? I probably spend about $100 a week on food, and never mind gasoline. But luckily, this baby, it's 600 miles to a tank of gas, a tank of diesel, and I'm not going that far. Maybe 10 miles a day. So but if I was trying to pay rent, man, I'd be pretty anxious. So now I'm trying to work out how to move forward. Excuse me, how to move forward with my creative projects so that they can begin to pay off. I used to make my living on the boardwalk in Venice Beach, and that's really not happening for me. I couldn't do it right now, actually. If I had to, I couldn't do it because of this latest setback. But there won't be any money out there until the late spring anyway. And I'm not sure that I want to go back to that. I want to go back to anything. I only want to go forward, right? And out there on the boardwalk. I spent 30 years out there building up my creative inventory of ideas expressed, paintings and books and whatnot. Um, and now, it's kind of time to. Um, I've got a storage unit full of uh, paintings in Venice. There's several thousand paintings in that storage unit. And I didn't paint them to sell them. I painted them to as a body of work, as an exploration. They're meant to be shared with the world, not just, sold off piecemeal to pay rent and to buy crackers. You know what I mean? Um, so I've reached that point in my life where um, the third stage of your life is about dissemination, disseminating your message, and that's kind of my focus going forward. I started a novel the week before Halloween, and I'm working on I'm proofreading it now, and I'm really digging it. I've got the cover done. I'm thinking about I'm contemplating releasing it as an NFT and at simultaneously as a paperback. Um, it's a metaphysical science fiction novel that pretty much contains everything that I feel is important for people to know about going forward. Everything that I've tried to understand about WTF is really going on in this world since I was 4 years old. Because when I was 4 years old, I felt like a stranger. I looked at the world and I was like, what's going on here, man? It, I was born in 1957. So when I was 4 years old, it was 1961. And I actually remember having to move. My father took my sister and I down to North Carolina to see her, to meet his mother, my grandmother. And he took us on the bus. And I remember having to move, the Mason-Dixon line thing. It's crazy. Race in America. That's some crazy stuff right there, man. And it's 60 years on. I'm 64 now, and we're still at it, aren't we? And it's only going to become more dynamic as we go forward from here. Anyway, I've written this novel, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. In real life, in 2024, now 2025, they changed it. NASA's planning to land on the moon again, and they're planning to do it with an astronaut, quote unquote, an astronaut of color, and a woman right, as part of the crew. So it'll be the first astronaut of color and the first woman on the moon in 2025. That's the goal. And that is the first page of the book, that landing. And what happens on that first page is you have the astronaut of color and the token woman astronaut, and they're both standing next to the flag on the moon for the photo op. You know, the United States putting its footprint on the moon again to let everybody else know that we got this moon thing down, right? And while they're standing there, this shaft opens up behind them, and it's and the whole world is watching, and they see this shaft open up behind these astronauts, and the astronauts don't see it, and everybody's like, "What the heck is that behind you?" And they turn around and they see this shaft, and down at the bottom of the shaft, there's like this entranceway. And after much discussion, they walk down into the shaft, and they got the body cameras on, and everybody's watching what they're doing, and the whole world is like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" And they get down the bottom, and there's this entranceway, and they can see into this space beyond, and there's this whole row of spacesuits hanging on the wall. All right, and there's this what looks like a barrier between, and they shove a little thing in there, and it's fine. It doesn't hurt them, and they walk through the barrier and into the hallway, and it's obvious that somebody, whoever made this place, they were humans too, because the spacesuits look like regular human spacesuits, right? That's the first page of the novel, and it only gets wonderfully weirder from there. And I have to say, I wrote the novel while I was going through my paraglider training for the P3 down in Torrey Pines, and I really enjoyed writing. I love writing fiction because I never know. I'm just like the reader. I don't know what's going to happen from one moment to the next. Like when I sit down to write, I don't know what's going to happen, and by the time I finish the writing session, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where the story's going to go after that. So I'm as much of a witness to the process as the reader. And but what's fascinating is when you're um, that information is coming through, and you're trying to stay out of the way, so the story can come through as clearly and without interruption as possible. And it is a trance. I'm just sitting there typing away. I'm not even sure what I'm looking at. You know what I mean? Because I'm not really present. I'm just witnessing the story unfold and doing my best to record it and not get in the way of it unfolding. Um, and next thing you know, I've written 10 pages and 5 hours have gone by, and or 20 pages or 30 pages or whatever it is. But now, I finished the first draft, was 397 pages, and I finished it right before I think it was in the middle of December, and I like to give it a I like to give it some space before I start the proofreading and rewriting, and a whole lot of space happened. I had the accident, and um, but anyway, I started doing the rewrite uh, last week, and I really enjoy this part because the first draft is like you've basically built out the skeleton, and in a lot of places it'll have, depending how well you've done it, it'll have a lot of flesh on it and all that kind of stuff. But now it starts telling you what it really needs, right? You get into the nuts and bolts of the story, and as a reader, I'm reading it and I'm like, well, this part here, it needs some more flesh. It needs some more structure. It needs or in the process, other ideas will come in and be like, oh, I could add this idea to this, and it's such a wonderful process. It's so much more fulfilling than writing a nonfiction book. I mean, nonfiction books are like, you just want to get it done, you know. But it's just completely creative, beginning to end. There's the nuts and bolts of, should this have a comma and all that kind of stuff. But that's one of the things I love about the proofreading process is you're literally, one of the ways to deal with it is to read the book out loud to yourself. And if it doesn't make sense verbally, then that tells you that you need to do some work. So I'll give you an example, probably later this week. I won't do it right now. I want to get going. But anyway, uh, I've been talking for 32 minutes so far, and I hope I've said something that was of value to somebody somewhere. So, like I said, I'm um, I'm doing okay. I'm treading water. I'm healing. Um, and spending a lot of time in the hot spring. Uh, I've been using a lot of, and I'm so glad that something said to do this before I left LA. Hi. Um, to I got this tincture, this cannabis tincture, and that's what I've been using as a muscle relaxant. And um, it's been really helping. I had a couple of days this week. I went into town to get water and food, and I was using the cart to, as kind of like to steady myself, and I was really tight in the shoulders. When I got back into the van, I suddenly had this like intense neck spasming nonsense happening, and it took me like 2 days to kind of chill that out. So, yay, cannabis. Man. I'm about due for another session of that. Actually, feels like little setbacks here and there, but um, the knee has it's shown some promise. It's shown some promise. Um, Up until this week, I wasn't sure how long it was going to take before I could, walk relatively normal. And then this one day, I was coming back from the hot springs, and I I walked almost normal. It was really cool. Very slowly, but then, yesterday I had this setback, and the knee went sideways, and um, it's gonna take as long as it's gonna take. But the good thing is, I'm alive. I have. I'm not maimed. I'm not paralyzed. All of which could have easily happened because at the moment that I went off of that hill, um, I was in complete surrender. I wasn't anxious. I wasn't tense. I wasn't afraid. I was kind of in wonder, and I was in the perfect, you know, mental state to go through what I went through. And I recognized that not very many people would be able to, you know, drive 4 hours in shock. And not that I would wish that on anybody, but um, I feel very lucky that I was able to make it here and that I'm here now. I mean, I know if I had gone to a hospital, they probably would have put me in a cast, put my knee in a cast anyway, and um, that wouldn't have really worked because I would have needed to soak the neck. And after all of that, I would have had to come here anyway and soak. So I'm here now, and I'll be here for another couple of weeks at least till I can walk better. So that's what's up. Alrighty then. Thanks for watching. Thanks for paying attention. Thanks for anybody who's donated to my GoFundMe or me in any way, shape, or form over the years, because I feel like a group effort. David is a group effort. Um, as much as I love my solitude, I recognize that one of the main reasons why I'm still alive and well is because of everybody I know, everybody that thinks of me and has thought of me, and especially those folks that have actually donated money to my cause of being a freak on the fringe of modern society and trying to make a difference, a positive impact in the world, as said freak on the fringe of society, the veritable edge of Western civilization. So thanks again for watching. I'm gonna finish trimming my beard and maybe work on the novel some more today. So You know, when I'm in the hot springs and I think of you, I'm sending you light. And this light is a specific flavor of light. It's exactly whatever you need kind of light. Whatever it is that you need, I'm sending it to you. It's from the universal source of supply. It's from infinite consciousness. It's from infinite love. And I'm sending you that light. Why? Because I can. And it's fun. So there, take that. All right, where do we? All right, there we go. Remember, we love you.